So I've gotten questions from some people asking about how they should implement some sort of conditioning when they're already practicing their sport and doing their strength training as well. So depending on the sport you play and the situation you're in, you can get pretty specific about conditioning when you're considering things like the time motion characteristics of your sport. But this video is just going to be a general recommendation for general means of conditioning that'll work for most people. So most of your conditioning should and does come from playing and practicing your sport at game speeds and game intensities. But conditioning that doesn't come from your sport is done for the intention of improving overall work capacity, improving your energy system so that you can undergo physical stress for a longer period of time, or just improving your cardiorespiratory fitness levels. But the demands and stress of the conditioning should not interfere with higher priority aspects of your physical development, meaning the conditioning should not prevent you from doing other important activities in your training. So as a general recommendation for conditioning, there's 3 means that I typically like to suggest. The first is tempo runs, number 2 is prowler or sled pushes, and the third is an dyne or assault bike. So tempo runs can be a restorative means of exercise for people when done at an appropriate intensity and volume. It's a simple way to get low intensity foot contacts that can be beneficial for the ankle and Achilles tendon health and even beneficial for explosive performance. It's just sub-maximal sprinting, meaning you're hitting sprinting archetypes and positions. They can be great for hamstring health and dynamic hip stability and mobility. And if you want more depth on tempo runs, I have another video on the topic where I discuss them at greater length. So now moving on to the prowler and sled pushes, pretty much all the things said about the tempo runs can be said here. I really like doing these with a relatively lighter weight. When you go too heavy, you can get a muscular burn and it can turn into more of a strength training session and less of a session that's working on your respiratory system. You can do these for intervals or for total time. 25 to 50 yard intervals with a similar work to rest ratio as tempo runs seems to work pretty well. And then lastly, the dyne bike. Again, this is just low impact work here. It's very easy on your joints. Very rarely, unless you go way too hard, will this interfere with other aspects of your training. And these can be performed with a variety of intervals. I typically like to suggest the same work to rest ratio as tempo runs, 10 to 20 seconds of work, 40 to 60 seconds of rest. So those are the 3 main conditioning means that I typically would recommend. I hope that information is helpful. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.